radio station on land right here on Keith Ngesi Radio with myself, baby Obutlesiu, standing in for Utru Senzi. Now we're looking at, moments in current affairs, but before we do that, please go to our YouTube page and subscribe and like it. It is Keith Ngesi Radio on YouTube. We're also live on Facebook. It is Keith Ngesi Radio on Facebook. You can also download our app on Google Play Store. It is the KNR app .co. So you just go to Google Play Store, right, and search KNR app. You're gonna find it there, or listen to us, man, on Simple Radio, knrapp.co.za, or www.keithngesiradio.co.za.com. It's up to you, because this is radio according to you. We give you options, man. We give you something to choose from, because it's all about you. It's all about what's convenient to you. Nonetheless, we're looking at current affairs, a lot of the items which made the news, and some of my analysis on the stories. This is something very disturbing to me, and I was like, what is going on? A lot's going on in our country, man. Constantly there are news that will shock you. Every day you wake up and something crazy just happened. Just in right now, Zali, who had her 8-year-old boy kidnapped, was demanded a sum of 100,000 rand for the kidnappers to return the baby. The boy's mother says she is unable to pay the ransom, and the Nyanga police are still investigating a case of kidnapping and extortion. So an 8-year-old boy was allegedly kidnapped while playing with his friends in Nyanga in Cape Town on Friday. Unoxolo Montwana was on her way home when she received a call that her son Ulukololwam had been kidnapped. So the kidnappers have demanded 100,000 rand for the boy's safe return. That's according to the mother. She said, I was on my way back from work when I received a call from the kidnappers asking me if I know what a kidnapping is, but I wasn't quite following. I thought it was a prank and told them, no, I don't understand. They told me they had taken my son. They said, we have kidnapped him and we want money. I told them I don't have money and that I merely work at a restaurant. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. That is crazy. That is crazy. Those are things that we see happening in things that happen on TV. And by TV, I'm talking about movies and films. You would never think that something like this would happen in your own neighborhood, or let alone a township, or for someone who's struggling, right? Because these things usually happen to children of drug dealers in TV and in movies and in film. So when it happens from around right here and next door, it's so insane. I can't imagine what the family is going through, and I can't imagine how devastated the young boy is. You're being held captive, you're being kidnapped. Next thing you know, they want 100,000 rand from your mom. Where's your mom gonna get that? Also, why are we even being kidnapped? Why is a young boy even being kidnapped? But there's more to the story. So the spokesperson of the Nyanga Community Police Forum, Utumisani Kwebe, said residents were searching for the boy. Ukwabe said, we heard from the area chairperson that there had been a boy who was kidnapped on Friday around 5 p.m. A black car approached the child while he was playing with the friends in the streets and asked him to accompany them to the shop. The boy immediately refused, stating that his mother doesn't approve of him talking to strangers. One of the occupants in the car then tricked the boy into going to the shop. The boy agreed, but added that he could not be away from home for long. In terms of kidnapping a child, we have to look at all angles. We were quite shocked by the kidnappers being able to immediately contact the mother. Kobe said, Kotwana said her son doesn't like being around people he doesn't know, especially men he isn't familiar with. She said, I don't have any grudges against anyone and vice versa, but given the way things happen, I feel as though someone who knows me well is behind this. I don't know where it is coming from, and I don't know which direction to put the blame. If I had money, I would give it to them, but unfortunately, I don't have money. So the SAPS spokesperson, Captain FC Van Veek, said a kidnapping and extortion case had been opened for investigation. That is also wild because, hey man, looking at it from the angle of police, I'm also just a bit, wary about it, because how does a person kidnap a child and then, okay, An hour later, they are calling the mother. Where did they get the mother's number? Maybe the child knows the mother's number and they got it from the child. After, if mama can give us your mom's number, we'll call her, wara wara wara. I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting to me, but I don't want it to just be that. I don't want it to just be something interesting because it's a very sad thing. A family has their child kidnapped, and so they're very worried right now. They're very stressed. They're going through hell. I can't even imagine what's going on in their mother's head. So can we please just keep them in our prayers, man, keep them in our hearts, and we can only just hope for the best. And for the team of people in Cape Town, I hope that their searching brings them something. I hope they can get leads and that they can find whoever is behind that, because it's insane, man. Where will children play if it's not safe in the streets? What is expected to happen? Where will children be children? Because if children are being kidnapped in day broad light, then where are they going to play? Are we gonna lock them inside the house? Our little siblings gonna play inside the house? Are they not supposed to play? What's going on? I don't know, man. But it's not nice. The world just isn't safe anymore. It isn't solid, and I don't know what needs to happen at this point, but something has got to give. Something has got to give. We can't constantly be crying, oh go, oh go, oh go. If it's not kidnapping, it's rape. If it's not rape, it's killings. If it's a lot. It's a lot. Speaking of which, the community is demanding for suspects to be given to them, says the Soweto Tavern shooting survivors who are seeking justice. So survivors of the fatal Soweto Tavern shooting want justice, and one of the men sustained 7 bullet wounds. So imagine being shot at 7 times and still being alive. That right there is, hey, I don't want to know. I don't even want to say it's grace, but it's grace. It's mercy. That is, hey, that's something. So I'm glad that there are people who survived, but they want justice. They're like, we survived, yes, but we also want justice. 3 struck his right thigh, 3 strike hit his left arm, and he was also shot in the back. The bullet that entered his back exited through his stomach. He was lucky that none of his vital organs were hit. Uncubeko Butu, that's the name of one of the survivors. Nkubeko Butu now walks with the assistance of steel crutches. I left home around 8:30 to play pool at the tavern when the fatal incident occurred. I spent an hour and a half at the place when I heard 3 gunshots outside. People ran to a corner and I joined them. I didn't see the faces of the shooters because it was mayhem. Everybody wanted to save their own lives, said Butu. My head was spared because I hid in between beer crates. I managed to cover my head with those crates. However, my right leg and left arm were protruding. The gunman focused on them. He continued, I was hit 7 times at close range. My shooter was about 4 meters away. After being shot, I was powerless. I also noticed that we were being hit with rifles and pistols. Some of the spent cartridges that fell near me were either of a rifle or a pistol. They differed in size. Even after I had been hit, the gunman continued firing at others. After they had left, I crawled near the door. A van later arrived to take 4 other injured people and me to the hospital. We were laying in the back of the van bleeding. The 5 of us were bleeding profusely. We were in pain, pleading with the driver to speed. The van was filled with our blood. My clothes were red in blood. I spent 12 days at the Chris Honey Baragwanath Hospital. I didn't think I would be able to walk again. I am lucky to be alive. People died before my eyes. I saw their bodies. Others were screaming for help. Some of those who were screaming went silent. They were later counted among the deceased. It was a real action movie. Butu demonstrated by waving his hand sideways how the shooters opened fire. He claimed they were shooting as if spray painting an object. It pays itself in my mind. Doctors have hoped that I would be healed. I hope those 5 people arrested won't be released. If they are released, some of us will end up with criminal records. We will not sit and watch people who inflicted pain on our bodies. It would be better if they are kept in custody. I don't want to go and see them in court. Seeing them in court will never heal my heart. They owe us. They have hurt us. I sometimes think about the incident. When I hear gunshots outside, the incident plays itself in my mind. I think I have trauma. I've never been counseled. He praised the police for arresting the five suspects. Buku's friends, Afika Zonzaba, 20, who's 23 years old, has a huge scar on his stomach. Uzonzaba was with Buku when he was hit in the back with what he claimed was an AK-47. I met Buku at the tavern playing pool. He asked me to play on his behalf. As I was playing, 3 shots were fired outside. I dropped the pool stick and ran for cover. As I was hiding, I wanted to see the shooters. I only saw their guns shooting people. About 20 minutes later, I lifted my head and could not see anyone standing. People were on the floor. In my mind, I thought they were still hiding from the gunmen. It later dawned on me that they were dead. I didn't notice that I was injured. Buto even asked if I was also hit. I said no. I ran outside looking for help when a man lifted my jersey and said that I was injured. It became dark. I woke up in the hospital. I was hit from the back running for cover. The bullet exited through my stomach. I am happy that the police have arrested people. If I had powers, I would ask them to be released to our hands. They should lend them to us for 15 minutes. They must be brought to Mdlalose Tavern and lock us inside with them. We know what we would do with them. I would be a happy man should they be released to the hands of the community. Amen. I can just imagine the trauma these men are going through and how betrayed they feel and how angered they feel, especially with the possibility that these people might walk free, the possibility that the people who threatened their lives so greatly might walk free. I don't know, man, it's a tricky thing, but I really hope that they find justice. I hope that the court deal with them decisively and in a way that will not make the suspects feel like justice is not served. Also, there's a metal that is said to be destroying children's brains, and it is alleged that South Africa does not want to remove it. The children who are exposed to lead, a metal found in certain paints and batteries, can face a number of problems as they grow up. In the early 2000s, researchers found that lead poisoning was widespread across major South African cities, while more recent evidence shows that there is a problem in certain mining and fishing towns as well. Doctors reported only 3 cases of lead poisoning on the National Institute for Communicable Disease between 2017 and 2022. Something experts say is because the medical fraternity thinks the threat this metal poses is a thing of the past. So lead poisoning, which is a condition linked to violent behavior, declining IQs, and heart disorders, is a pervasive in several communities in South Africa, yet doctors only reported 3 cases to the National Institute for Communicable Disease between 2017 and 2022. According to Suzanne Chinyongo, the head of the NICD's notifiable medical conditions team, because lead poisoning is a notifiable medical condition in the country, it's a crime for health workers not to flag instances of the condition to the NICD. Notable conditions are illnesses that pose potential public health risks that can result in outbreaks or epidemics and therefore require government monitoring. Lead poisoning is a category 2 notifiable condition, meaning it needs to be reported to the Department of Health within 7 days after a doctor has identified a case. A test has to pick up at least 5 micrograms of lead for every 100 mils of someone's blood before they're considered to be poisoned. This amount is called the blood lead reference level, and it signals someone has an unusual amount of lead in their body and needs treatment. South Africa's problem, however, wasn't that health workers were failing to tell the government what they were seeing. It was rather that they were missing cases of lead poisoning altogether, said Angela Mate, the chief specialist scientist at the SA Medical Research Council's Environment and Health Search Unit. It seems that health workers are unaware of how widespread lead poisoning is. Part of the problem is that in the medical fraternity, there's this belief that lead poisoning is a historical issue and not a relevant issue to society today. It's hectic. Just everything is hectic. All of this is hectic because lead is used in certain paints, batteries, bullets, and even in some medicines that people use. So the heavy metal is added to paint to increase its durability and prevent corrosion. But because of the dangers of lead exposure, many countries, including South Africa, have placed legal limits on how much lead can be added to paint. However, because numerous buildings were already painted by the time South Africa introduced these laws in 2009, there were still countless homes covered with lead paint in the country. Lead has been found to contaminate garden soil in some Johannesburg neighborhoods, and cases of widespread lead poisoning in South Africa stretch for far beyond Johannesburg. It is insane. And apparently, the after effects are very, very dangerous to children, and they will be releasing more information as time goes by to share with the communities and with parents how it is that they can deal with any outbreak, or if a child catches something, then they know how to counteract it. That will be posted on the South African Medicine Research Council. So it will be out soon, and I hope, man, they'll look into it because no one wants an outbreak. We don't want that. We already just had COVID-19, so we don't want anything even more intense and even more hectic right now. We've had enough. Like, we're good. We're tired, So Nele, thank you so much. We're tired of pandemics, epidemic. We want nothing now. We just want to recover from COVID before we deal with another health crisis. So that was it in moments in current affairs, man. Very sad times we live in. Every day there's a heartbreaking story. Every day there's a shooting, there's a killing, there's someone who was raped, there's a kid. It's just a lot. I feel like the world isn't safe anymore. The ground isn't solid. The only thing we can do is just hope that we will be safe and that our loved ones will be safe, and that as time goes by, we'll get to a point where it's not as dark anymore. But for now, we just keep reading